Welcome to the Totally Unreal Book Club Podcast, or TUBC for short. This podcast is in association with and comprised of the Voices of Anarchy Improv comedy group, and we are here to discuss our favorite totally unreal books, movies, video games, etc. on a weekly basis.
This book club is totally unreal.
I'm your host, Willwood, and at the table today we have, starting to my left, Caitlin Dawkins.
I am no photographer, but I can picture us together.
D.A. with a fada over at ITHIENGLISH.
What's that spell?
I don't know. You do the math.
Rah, rah.
English.
Thank you.
And the last one, Steven my Sharona Marriott.
Yeah? Damn it! No, I had so much better planned. Doesn't matter, I'll save it for next week. My Sharona was gonna be my joke.
I'm sorry, what?
So my Sharona was going to be my joke after you started the ma. But then I just thought you had a stutter and I didn't want
So
to.
before we start this book review or discussion or whatever we want to call it, first let's talk about a different thing, which is everybody please subscribe and 5-star rate the podcast and leave us a written review because it really helps us out and we appreciate it. And then we don't have to send sleeper agents to your house to sleep in your bed because that is uncomfortable for them because you need a better bed. And that's why we are sponsored by nobody. So moving on, what have you been consuming this week, food-wise or other?
I just had some cake.
Cack.
Yes.
I also had some cake. I think we all ate cake before
we
recording.
all ate cack. I call cake cack.
Uh-huh.
I'm gathering that.
You also just had some cack.
I did.
Ooh, I just stepped over that one too.
Oh, I didn't even use my hands.
Dahi, it's your book this week, so let's just
Get to it.
Let's start the episode.
Someone
go.
kick him, he's skipping.
So, speaking of cakes,
Oh no.
let's just
Oh my god.
don't poke me.
I need a knife.
the book that we read for this week is Recipes for Cakes
Yes, it was.
by Jeremy Timbers.
Yes.
Just
You all right there, Will?
yeah, I'm good, thanks.
Okay.
So this is
I was expecting a traditional cookbook and did not. It was not that quite. Yeah.
It was literally a book of poetry. No recipes whatsoever in there. It was strange.
I thought, really, Dahi, you're giving us a cookbook to read for book club?
well, it's interesting because they designed the cover to look exactly like Company's Coming, so that and it's got that weird sort of white plastic the spine on the book. It's got that weird white plastic spirally corkscrew thing, just like on
the coil.
Yeah. And, it's funny because this book often ends up in the 50-cent bargain bin, like the other Company's Coming cookbooks, but with them as if it was part of the series. So you really got to look for it. You know what I mean?
I just ordered mine on Amazon.
Yeah, it only costs $1 on Amazon. You're really not saving much by getting it in the bargain bin.
Time.
Well, I mean, if you have Amazon
better.
Prime, you can use it. You can add it as an add-on item for the free shipping. But otherwise, you got to pay $3.99 shipping for the $1 book.
The odds of you being at $24.50 for your previous purchases and only needing another 50 cents or $1? $1.
Yeah, $1. No, you were you were just giving me shit about that 50-cent bargain bin not being worth it. And now you're singing. Let's just.
No.
I know, you're right.
I want to say with the poetry that's in this book, I found it very strange the way it was formatted. Like each poem started off with a whole bunch of numbers and ingredients beforehand.
Yeah.
Almost as if you might need to gather those.
Yeah.
I didn't do that.
No.
Yeah, I was
wrote all
gonna
that.
when you mentioned that the book was formatted like poetry. I didn't say anything until now because I was busy dying. But now that I've recovered, I was going to ask: do you know how poetry works?
Well, from what I understand, as long as it's words on a page, it counts as poetry. I mean, you've seen a lot of the modern poems. You know what I mean.
I haven't. Please elaborate.
There's this poem that just goes, it's just the letter N, and that's the poem.
Oh no! That's just one of the re-releases of Space Animals in Space with Other Space Animals.
It's interesting that they referenced it in a poetry book, but it's nice.
Well, because it is the Space Animals in Space with Other Space Animals, or SPAC as it's sometimes referred to, is often called the poetry of the video game world.
It's true.
But that's a discussion for a previous time. So, yeah. So it's interesting. I do understand why you thought it was poetry, because it is poetry. So it is formatted like a recipe, but at the same time, the first ingredients always have 5 syllables in them. The second list of ingredients always has 7 syllables, and then the third list of ingredients goes back to 5 syllables again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's very true.
And they
did not complicate matters at all. It just very
so
straightforward.
it's an ancient form of poetry known as the haiku, and from now on we will do this podcast in the same style. Oh, I already messed it up.
Yeah, we won't do
Yeah,
that.
that's not happening.
That was 8 syllables. We're not a poetry podcast. We're hardly a book club podcast, but
We're hardly a podcast.
To convey one's emotions in 15 syllables is very difficult.
17.
17 syllables. Yeah.
we're not a math podcast either.
I'm not. What's numbers?
What are numbers?
Yeah.
This is not a philosophy podcast either.
Well, speaking of philosophy.
So anyway, Recipes for Cakes.
Recipes for Cakes.
Is an interesting book. It actually tells a very deep narrative from the perspective of the cakes.
Yes, this is true.
Can you guess how many of them?
All 19 of them.
Yes.
Yes, plus 6 more.
The
25
bonus.
cakes.
6 bonus.
There's
cakes.
25 cakes in this.
Well,
Everyone knows you can't cut a pie into 19 pieces. But you can cut it into 25.
you can also
if you
cut
eat one
a
before
you can
you
also
cut the
cut a
last
human into 19 shaped lines and call it a Marson. But that's
can-
also a discussion for a previous time.
You can also pick your friend's nose, but only with their consent.
So let's talk about our this book, shall we?
That's
Is that why we're here?
literally what I was just doing.
Well, like
25
the very first
cakes in the
page
book.
had me hooked. It just started with there was no even ingredients or anything in the intro. It was just the straight up
Just a
first haiku.
fishing lure, just stuck to the inside cover.
just a hook. Yeah.
Really
Well
hooked you,
played.
yeah?
It did. It snagged me, and then once I pulled the hook out of my hand and wiped the blood off the page, I was able to flip the page to the first rhyming.
But that's in every copy of the book.
Yeah, it's very important. That
It's-
hook is there intentionally.
The book has a habit of springing open otherwise.
Well, the whole thing is that,
paperweight edition.
and as you learn, I don't want to get too far into
Yeah,
before we
it's
hit the
kinda
spoiler
spoiler
warning. But as you
territory, yeah.
ultimately end up learning, there is one ultimate cake who is kind of guiding this whole thing, and he's a real asshole. He's evil and kind of just a not good character. So when you first open that book and he hooks you, literally, you're kind of like, oh no. It's kind of like a chain letter. You're like, if I don't read the rest of this, and then send it to 19 of my friends.
and then another 6.
Bonus 6.
I'm going to be visited by the ghost of hooks tonight.
Captain
It was
Cake, I
the
believe his name was.
Sponge Cake of Doom, wasn't it?
Well, he lived in the Cake Islands. So whoever, I think it was Captain Cake, discovered the cake.
Okay.
This is very
No, it was
end of the
I'm getting
cookbook.
confused because the Sponge Cake of Doom I thought would be the big bad, but it wasn't.
The spoilers.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry.
So
and you guys are just listing the names of the recipes of the 25 cake
the
recipes.
first poem, you pass the hook page, wipe the blood
Well,
off.
hold on. Are we gonna? Okay, do that, but just don't go too far into spoilers. 'Cause
No,
we're gonna.
it's literally the introduction.
Okay.
This is, other than the actual hook, this is what hooked me again. And it just, the quick little haiku they had there just says, this is a haiku, but this one is made of pie. This is a paiku. And I thought, yes, I can read the rest of this. They've got some puns going on. And then that was it after that. I was, again, hooked. I just got stuck on the front page again.
Yes.
Yeah,
Smooth.
I enjoyed that opening haiku very much as well.
Yeah.
And when you got hooked by the hook on that first page,
Yeah.
and your blood dripped onto the page, did you notice though that haiku glowing at all, or was that just me?
Just you.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe blood loss was making you just hallucinate a bit.
Okay. I
How
hope
much
so.
blood did you spill?
Well, as you
Well, it
can
hit a
see,
vein.
I have 9 fingers now. It's unfortunate.
I don't like to judge.
That's nice. That's unrelated
Oh,
from Dahi's
wait,
fingers.
which finger are you missing?
It changes.
I was just gonna ask if that's the one that if that's the one that you
Did you chop it off, or did you just? It was a hook. It's not a knife in the
Well-
front page.
We can't really talk about how it happened without talking about spoilers.
This is true.
So
Oh,
we'll get into that after the spoiler warning.
we're in for a real ride this week. We're in for a real ride this week, so strap in, you
Kids.
goddamn kids and camp.
Who's kid?
Spoiler warning going up.
Yeah.
Warning. Incoming spoiler. Warning. Incoming spoiler.
All right, now we are in spoiler territory. So come, yo, let's go.
Mad rhyme skills, yo.
Sick haiku.
Syllable counting skills.
So let's talk about the man. There's so much to talk about with this one.
Well, let's start with the back of the book.
Absolutely, go ahead, Will.
Hey, bakers, do you bake cakes? Well, so do I. Open this book and prepare to be hooked.
I wish I'd read into the warning a little more.
Continue.
I like that the book is clearly written from the perspective of the cake. The back of the book. Anyway. Did I get you? Ha. Well, now that we are acquainted, come along on this journey through
Dahi, are you okay?
He's just crying over his finger again.
Please. Come along on this journey through 19 plus 6 cakes as we instruct you. Oh, I'm sorry. I meant as I instruct you. It's written this way. As I instruct you on the dangerous and sexy cakes making. And then it just trails off. It's just a bunch of dots and a couple sevens. But those sevens are important later, so remember that.
Yeah. So then we dive into the book. And
Yeah.
First page after the hook and after the first rhyme says,
Oh, hold on. Those sirens are on our end, not your end. If you're driving, you're not about to be pulled over. But you've all pulled me over in my heart. Sorry, you were saying about the book?
Anyways, all right, yeah. First major page, after the hook and after the intro. Of course, as we talked about earlier, every page starts with a haiku recipe, quote unquote. This one says, 4 eggs if you please. Then mix that flour in, yo. And please whisk that shit. And so, yeah, I did all that because I thought this was essential. Got my flour, my eggs, and whisked them, and it was very dry. But then after that, it just started diving into the story stuff, and it brought in the first cake.
Well, I mean, it dives into the story in a sense. It really is a cookbook in that every page is a recipe, but it really, after you, first of all, did any of you follow these recipes?
I just said I did, yeah.
Oh.
Page by page.
Okay, but no, I mean, did you actually make the recipes?
That's what I said. It was a little dry, but...
You made all of them.
Well, I just kept adding to the one I was started.
Okay.
So,
Oh, really? That's weird. Yeah, because see, this thing it starts off normal, and then it progressively gets really illegal. But
every time the hook brings you back. I ain't telling you no lies.
Yeah, the hook brings you back because it stays in your hand. That's how the books, you always have it with you. That's what the hook's for.
You can't lose your recipes because they're attached to your hand.
But but it is the recipes, but then it starts telling you a narrative as you go. So you get the title of the recipe, and then you get the recipe, and then you get the haiku, which is about the recipe. And the haiku of the first one, the haiku after the recipe is always from the perspective of what you don't realize at first is the sentient evil cake. But when you hear the first, so you said, what, are you having revelation there?
No, I'm just trying to compute all this stuff. So we've got a recipe and then the haiku. It's like that first list of ingredients was in haiku form.
Yes, but then there's another haiku afterwards that describes the cake. But
of course.
The description haiku is really, when you piece that together, is the narrative from the perspective of the evil sentient cake.
Gotcha.
So after the first recipe, you get your first haiku, which is it's a little off, but it's fairly, you're not too thrown off by it yet. And that haiku is as follows. Hello. That was good. Would you like to play a game? It's called Don't Eat Me. So you think that it's just, oh, this cake's a little dry, so don't eat it. Yeah.
Made sense.
But as we continue on, it gets a lot more sinister.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So continuing on.
Yeah, so let's go to the second recipe.
So we have we have the second recipe, which
and the title of that recipe is
the title of that recipe,
Devil's Food Cake.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. My pages got stuck together. That is way farther ahead. Let's skip back.
Yeah, we're only in the second one here.
This one's just angel food cake still.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Yep, that's exactly what it is. Continue, Will.
So the recipe is as follows. Beat 17 eggs, please. Add some sugar, milk, and other stuff. Bake in oven for time.
I thought it said 4 times. So I just kept pulling it out and putting it back in.
Well, the key to that haiku, you got to pay attention because
to the back of the book where it says 77.
You bake it for 77 minutes.
I just had it on 77 Celsius.
The middle line is actually 8 syllables because sugar is 2 syllables. So you have to pay attention to that haiku because that whole page, you have to take 1 off of every number. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense.
Oh.
Well, this gets to the great debate of whether sugar can be said as 1 syllable, because I clearly said it that way.
Sugar.
Yeah, sugar. Sugar.
Sugar.
Sugar.
Sugar.
It's an old...
it's an old Irish way of saying it.
Yeah.
It's like flour.
Get the sugar.
Exactly.
That's not offensive at all.
It's not, because we have an Irishman with us.
That's true.
I thought Dahi said that.
Will, when he wants to actually speak in Irish, he can do a pretty good job.
Say something in Irish.
I'll get the shker.
See, perfect.
That was an Irish accent. I meant in Irish.
No, that's Irish. That
was Irish?
That
Okay.
is my proud native language.
Yeah, that was
I'll have you
that was
know.
authentic Gaelic. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Gaelic.
No, Gaelic.
bread,
I'd love some. Thank you.
which is the
Is that the
third
next recipe?
So anyway,
We
so
haven't got
that's
to that yet. We've still got the
so
haiku
that's the
explaining
second
the story.
recipe.
Okay,
So that's the second recipe, of course, and then I like that you baked it 4 times. So it was just a real.
Oh, it was a mess at this point. I pretty much had to start over on the next page.
And so Dahi, would you like to fill us in on the story part of the haiku?
The story part of the haiku basically goes.
Basically doesn't cut it. You've got to be very accurate with this. You've got the book in
Okay,
front of you. You have
alright.
no excuses.
Yeah, it's right here. It
Just watch
says
the hook.
you should not have done the things that you did right there. Please stop it now. Please.
It's very polite, evil sentient cake.
Well,
No, I
doesn't get there yet.
he doesn't want you to know yet.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
I think it
evil.
wrote that because it figured that many people like Steve were going to bake the cake 4 times, and that is a thing you should not have done.
Oh, I clearly understood that.
Because that is
Quadrice baked cake is a recipe for disaster.
because you are basically
You can't be basically about this. You have to be exact.
you are committing
Cooking is a
genocide.
science.
You are committing genocide on the cake's people at that point. Which is why it's out for revenge. But we learn this later. So the third recipe, of course, is grab that cake and bake it. And this is a bacon.
Garlic bread was chapter 3.
Nope.
Oh, pages are stuck together. Man, all this sugar just sticks to everything.
Grab that sugar. Why would you think that was that when I just told you what the title was?
Because we talked about it
because
a
we
few minutes
just
ago.
said
Yeah, we just said the third one is.
third one is garlic bread.
No, not yeah,
yeah.
garlic.
Oh, the third one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I skipped over to the
You got
fourth
sugar
one.
on your book, too.
Because you were thinking of the
Sugar and blood.
quadrice baked cake, and you were thinking the number 4, so that brought you to
It happens.
Yeah.
Right, because it's take this cake and bake it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll do the fourth one. You do the third one.
Yeah, it's garlic bread, which you would think would be a weird thing to have in a cake recipe, but it's garlic bread cake.
Well, you see, this is the whole point of the book, right? It's not that you're baking cakes the whole time necessarily. These
Unless
are
you're
recipes for cakes. So you're baking the food for the cake.
For the cakes. Yeah.
Which is why he gets really upset when you bake an actual cake 4 times
And you kill it.
because you're supposed to be serving the cakes, not serving the cakes.
So it's very unclear by the second chapter,
And
okay?
they don't want you to say mean things because then you're serving the cakes.
So do you want to read the recipe for the garlic bread cake?
Garlic toast is wow.
These are the ingredients?
Oh, sorry, I was skipping down to the next. Yeah. So the ingredients haiku is 1 bulb of garlic. Stuff it in some bread now, please. Put it in my mouth.
It's just a weird recipe.
It is. Well, the thing is,
The recipe is real. So there's a reason for this, because what the sentient evil cake is doing is trying to garlic you up. So it basically is just telling you to eat a clove of garlic, because this is important for the ritual later. Which is why the story part follows up with,
I mean, at this point, the cake has already gotten its blood sacrifice.
That's true.
as soon as you open the book
mine did
and
glow.
you get hooked,
It
you're
has the scent
on
of your
this
blood.
journey. And there will be a plea for help later, but yeah. So as you were saying, then the haiku,
Yeah,
you could
well-
just go ahead and read the first 5 syllables again, exactly as you did before.
stuff garlic in me.
Question mark. I didn't
No,
read that before, but
that's
it is
Paraphrasing. Really.
Yeah, no, just pick up the book and read it.
I read that. Stuff garlic in me is the first line. Exactly as read.
No. That the story one. Garlic bread is wow.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, garlic bread is wow. Don't tell my mom. You horror.
Please.
Horror.
Oh.
Where is the fresh milk?
No, that's important.
The cake was trying to fatten you up with some lactose as well.
Well, the cake just wanted some milk. That's why it asked where the fresh milk is.
Oh, right. Not just any old milk. Could be soy milk or almond milk.
In the way that humans are 70% water, cakes are 70% milk. Depending on the cake.
Depending on the cake.
I also like the image that everybody listening to this while they're driving right now is now holding up their fingers every time we do a haiku.
Because we certainly are.
So yeah,
You just want to prove that
sure.
it is.
Yeah, you gotta make sure. Because that one with the sugar, you gotta pay attention.
with the sugar. It's
The author was very careless, apparently.
it's important because this is the point when you start to realize something's not quite right about this narrative, because the cake is asking where is the fresh milk, and you're like, it's almost like something speaking to me, which brings us to the fourth one, which I had mentioned before.
Yes.
You know that one.
That one indeed.
Hold on.
We know the title already. We don't need to know the title.
Let
It's
me
fine.
just pick up the book. It's fine.
It's
Watch
like
the hook.
just
Watch
give me
the hook.
all the sugar.
No, it's not watch the hook. Just give me a second to pick up the book, and then just flip to the page, and then I'll remember it as I'm reading it. And it was, of course, take this cake and bake it. See?
It's true.
I picked up the book and I remembered. Now, take this cake and bake it. So the recipe is as follows. Take 1 pound bacon. Take 2 pounds of butter, please. Add eggs, milk, and sugar.
I like that they added eggs twice in that recipe.
No.
No?
Take 1 pound of bacon. Take 2
you're
pounds
right,
of
you're
butter.
Yep, never mind. I
Yeah.
just listened incorrectly.
Yeah, it's
Slash
fine.
red.
So that's the recipe, and then the haiku part afterwards is, are you listening? Because I'm here right now, yes. It's me. It's me.
He seemed to have a bit of a stutter when
Well,
he was writing
the punctuation is really important.
Yeah,
in
it goes.
that fifth
Yeah,
one.
it's like it's me. Period. It's ellipsis. It's me! Exclamation mark.
I'm surprised he didn't just say, it is me, because that would have been just as sufficient, but...
That's too formal.
Yeah, he's very...
It really
informal
wanted
cake.
to like play up the suspense. Like it's oh shit, what is it? It's me.
If it were a tuxedo cake, I would have said it is me.
Yes.
It's formal.
So the fifth one you guys just mentioned.
Fifth one, we mentioned it already?
Yeah, something about the hook.
No.
No, that must come later again.
I was saying watch out for the hook as in when you pick up the book.
Right, but the fifth recipe is called "Watch Out for the Hook."
Oh,
Right,
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 yeah,
Yes, it is.
Of course, this is where we get into some a little bit crazier ingredients and made me really start to question the motive of this sentient cake. Of course, the recipe for this one says, go find a homeless individual if you would be so kind, please.
Right, not really an ingredient list so
No.
much as, but then when you
It's instructions.
Yeah.
yeah, but it really is an ingredient list as you find out later.
Well, yeah.
Because then the haiku says, make sure they taste good, and also sacrifices must be made for blood.
Yeah, this is where it got twisted, and I was like, Dahi, what the hell did you get us into?
Yeah, so at that point, I don't know about you guys, but I went to close the book and just burn it.
Well,
But once I had lit fire to it, I found out instead that my whole house was on fire and the book was fine.
Now, I think it was an interesting choice by the author to actually imbue this cookbook with demonic powers. I think that was I think that was an artistic choice that I didn't see coming.
I think it was an interesting choice.
Thought about this.
I think it was I don't think there was a publishing company. I think it was an interesting choice for you to ignore the fact that I just said my house was on fire.
Oh no, this is standard fare.
Was on fire when you were reading the book, I assume.
Yeah, well,
I saw many things when I read the book.
after I finished putting the fire out with my face, it turned out that I was in Dahi's house.
I don't have a house.
Anymore.
And then I found out it was all a dream.
Ah, yes.
But the book was not a dream. It was still there.
Yeah, I live in an apartment. So.
Caitlin,
Moral of the story, I did not go track down a homeless individual. I thought that would be rather irresponsible of me. Yeah.
Caitlin, how did you feel about this book after you read that point?
It was fine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you were still in for this. You didn't
Yeah.
suspect
I just-
anything at that point.
I read number 5 and then I went on to number 6.
Well, what I went and did is I got Johnny the Hobo.
Oh, no.
Oh no.
Yeah. I brought him to my house, and I continued on the book from there.
I can't help but notice Johnny is not here reading the book with us right now, and that's not a good sign.
Well, of course not, because as the haiku that follows up that recipe goes, take this man and eat
The flesh that sits upon him, then go brush your teeth.
Yes.
So
Oral hygiene is very important.
So yeah, what I did was I went to the local superstore, and I just put some meat on top of his head, and I ate the flesh on him, and then I let him go home at that point.
That's very responsible of you, Dahi. We appreciate that.
Man, I really wish
you
I'd
forgot
thought
the
of
toothbrush
that.
part.
I really
Give
wish
him
I
a
had thought of
sandwich.
that.
What did you do, Will?
Well, that's why Johnny's not here.
You got Johnny too?
No, I just,
You got
I was under the spell at that point, and it was kind of like, I don't know, when in Rome.
Eat people?
Well, if the Romans do it.
They
I don't know
don't.
if the Romans ever ate people, to be
No.
honest.
You know what they say? Carpe jugulum.
Seize the jugular vein?
Okay, I follow.
I
I did not know they said that.
That may be a Terry Pratchett.
Well, all I
reference.
did was I just ate his finger, and I know Dahi's a little sensitive about that.
Are you sure
Was
that was
Dahi
Johnny
the homeless
Hobo?
guy that you brought?
No, I don't think so.
Was he standing outside a burning apartment building?
Dahi, do you
Eating homeless man
moonlight
head
as a homeless man?
I don't moonlight as one.
So when you said you got Johnny the Hobo, you meant you just showed up?
No, I think you guys are talking about different homeless people.
Yeah, my friend Johnny. He helped me when my apartment burnt down.
And then it sounds like you
is he
kidnapped
missing a
Dahi.
finger?
Hmm?
Is he missing a finger?
No, but you kept calling me Johnny while you ate my finger.
You've been very
man.
quiet on this issue all night.
And this
It's interesting that the other ones still shuffle around, though. Well, looks like they've all been chopped off and like replaced with Velcro on the tips, so you're just kind of moving them
Well,
around.
because I thought that I was going to be hungrier than I was. I didn't want to waste the
Tupperware is
leftovers.
better for keeping fingers fresh, so I'm told, than Velcro.
You think it's better than reattaching them to the sores?
Not with Velcro.
Well, I'm not a good sewer.
Look, at the end of the day, I can, I'm more dexterous now. I can put my thumb anywhere, and I've got an opposable thumb. I can actually have two thumbs on one hand. It's really handy.
It's very handy.
So thank you, Will, for eating my finger.
It really brought Dahi into the digital age.
Oh.
Whoa,
that was great.
Stewie from Family Guy just showed up.
Sorry, that's a bad habit of mine.
Bringing Stewie from Family Guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just the voice.
So the 6th recipe, I hope you didn't eat that finger.
Yeah. That one.
It's a follow-up to the previous one, at least for some of us, like me.
Well, the recipe is kind of unrelated to the story one, which is the first time that happens. The recipe is lettuce and tomato is really delicious. Eat that salad, bitch.
This is when the cake starts to get less polite.
Yeah.
That was
no more two
not the
pleases in
homeless
one
part.
line.
That didn't throw me off as much as when it started calling me a bitch.
Yeah, but then
I got confused by them breaking up the syllables of the tome and then starting with toe. So
yeah.
I'm sorry,
feels like
Dottie.
the cakes.
I'm sorry, Dottie.
It hurts. It hurts so much.
No wonder you're wearing big, huge shoes. You've got some bandages.
Oh, God.
Bandages that cover nothing.
So, the story haiku, again, the number, you have to watch the number of the syllables, because it's, soon we will eat them, summon. Then we will feed them, and we will have fun, demon.
I like that demon and summon were emphasized as one syllable each. It's like demon and summon.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, it's not even that they were emphasized that way, but the author, the cake, just like cut the vowels right out of the word.
No,
so
that's-
Yeah,
That's
it says
That's how you say it in Ireland.
Yeah, that's the old Celtic way of saying it.
So are we sure it was summon or not semen?
No,
Because
no.
there's two M's.
Oh, okay.
SMMN.
Oh, I'm just bad at spelling.
Yeah.
Some me that sugar. You're a din.
Dad?
Oh,
Well, I am part of you now.
No, he's
Vice
part of
versa.
you.
Well, I mean, there's a little dahi in me.
isn't there a little dahi in all of us?
No, I
What did
didn't
you
eat.
do?
I didn't eat the cake.
It was in the Tupperware in the fridge.
Oh my god, I did eat the cake. We all ate the cake.
Oh my God.
There's a little
Cake is making
dahi
us
in me
going a little
too, then.
crazy.
Oh, we're gonna take an ad break here. This episode is brought to you by Dahi. Delicious.
Grab a knife and take a bite.
This episode is also brought to you by syllables. Sometimes they're hard to count.
This episode is also brought to you by Please Help Me, I Need a Home, and I don't have one finger and one toe. Please.
No, you have 9 of each.
This episode is also brought to you by fishing. Grab a book and head on down to the pier.
This episode is also brought to you by Hooked on Phonics. Once you start, you're attached.
It's also brought to you by getting your blood on that book, because that's how you gotta finish.
Wow. And this episode is also brought to you by www.holy.booksarereal.please eat some skin / fingers and toes. And if you go to that website and put in promo code tubcpodcast, they'll send you 1 free finger and toe from Dahi.
Encased in a bag of sugar.
Wearing a hat.
Limited supplies.
Fast.
There's only 9 of each.
This episode is also brought to you by Coily Spines. If you have a coily spine, you should either become a slinky or see a doctor.
Let's
The books have coily spines. Never mind.
let's get back to the farm.
Oh,
No, we're not doing that book yet.
That's perfect. That's perfect. So,
I am the book. What was that?
Sorry, what?
I said let's get back to the book.
Yeah. So the next recipe number 7, is actually called Seventh Heaven.
Yeah, and the recipe goes as follows.
Yeah, go for it.
Grab 7 fresh... Grab 7 fresh, nice souls. Blend them up together in some delicious sauce.
Yep, and that's the Seventh Heaven sauce. And so what I did is I went to the local shoe shop and got
You hobbled there.
You hobbled to the cobbler.
I stole 7 shoes exactly, and blended them up.
All you needed to do was take the soles out of them.
Yeah.
You
Well,
didn't have to blend the whole shoe.
I mean,
It's a waste.
Now, what sauce did you all use? Because I used soy sauce.
I used a marinara.
I used Alfredo.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
and the sauce that I used was the rest of the shoe.
I had to do.
It's an excellent sauce. I'd like to put that on penne.
Then comes the next story haiku, which is where things got really alarming for me. You are now under. I am now over. You, please. Your soul is now mine.
Yeah.
At that point, I blacked out,
Yeah.
and I woke up 6 weeks later.
Well, for me, I blacked out and woke up with only 1 shoe on my feet.
I greened out, so I was fine.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
interesting.
Did you just put on a facial mask?
Yeah. I put on the nice kiwi avocado facial mask, and I watched Grey's Anatomy.
What happened to you, Steve, after you read that?
I blew out all the candles that I'd put on the cake.
Oh.
Oh, you
Yeah,
gotta watch
nothing
out for the
fancy.
wax.
Yeah. No, I'm still awake.
So you made...
I was kind of wondering why none of you guys responded to any of my texts or messages for like weeks, but
I did.
So your soul...
you were just talking about Grey's Anatomy, though, and I was like,
spoiled the
don't
season
care.
finale of Grey's Anatomy for you.
So did you take your souls and sauce and bake them into a cake?
4 times.
I was going to ask 4 times. Oh, wow.
Ooh, you should not have done that. Oh.
Oy. I am the book. Sorry,
Did
what?
you guys hear something?
No.
No, I hear many things
Like the traffic outside?
and others.
That traffic is on this end. It's not on your end. There's no traffic, so just go as fast as you want.
Please don't do that.
I am the book. Do it.
Oh man.
Why you guys? Why you guys? Why you
that
guys?
chapter was it?
Why you guys looking at me like that?
I always
got a bit
look
of
at you
dahi
this
hanging
way.
from your lip there.
So, number 8.
This is the red velvet delicacy, was it not?
It was.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So the ingredients are as follows: grab yourself some tongue, and throw them in a pot, and then cook it thrice. So I went to the shoe store, and
Yeah, you see, you're catching on.
I know, yeah.
You could have
Grab some
just
shoes.
used the tongues from the previous shoes if you had recycled them like I did.
Well, mine were burnt to a crisp.
Well, Dahi just threw the whole thing in there.
Yeah.
I have a question. So did you bake it 3 times or did you break it 12 times?
No, I baked it 3 times on this one. I was a little more vigilant.
Batman?
Speaking of vigilant, that's when I went on a crime spree
That's when you went on a crime spree?
and then stopped myself.
You too.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
I felt
that's when you went on a
compelled.
crime spree,
I
not
felt
when you chopped off Dahi's fingers and toes and burnt down his house.
finger and toe.
But no, all his fingers are chopped off. They've been reattached, but they've still been chopped.
His fingers, yeah, but I only chopped off 1 toe.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. All right. Sorry, didn't mean to
I
judge.
didn't want him to walk funny.
Yeah, that'd have been ridiculous.
He already
Would've looked
speaks funny.
ridiculous.
Hey, that's
Hey.
my little skr over there.
Oh, thanks, honey.
I thought I was your
knee.
dad.
Thanks,
I thought
knee.
he's Daddy.
Thought I was your dad.
You can call him Daddy if you want.
Listen, I am the book.
Dad.
What?
Is it Da?
Hmm?
Da?
What are you talking about?
Da.
What's happening?
Dahi.
No, Da.
Dahi as in he is da.
Yes.
Si.
Okay.
Okay, let's get back to the book because I think
Con
we're
mucho
losing.
gusto.
I think we're losing people here.
Myself included. So, anyways, that was the ingredients for that one. And
The story haiku.
The story haiku goes as follows. Did you get some shoes? Well, you are an idiot. You were supposed to... And then it just trails off. And
It's
now
like,
I felt
supposed-
stupid for
supposed to what?
I should have read that haiku before I went and grabbed all the shoes and baked them thrice.
Well, what happens is then immediately in the 9th recipe, it continues on from where that haiku left. So where the 8th haiku, story haiku, stopped with, you should have grabbed. Was it you should have or should have grabbed? You should have grabbed.
I think it was grabbed. I don't know. I've already flipped the page and I can't
Well,
go
whatever
back.
it is that
Too
we
much
just
sugar.
said, yeah, you can't go back. You can never go back. Then follows on with the title of the 9th recipe, which is
Red Velvet Atrocity, wasn't it? To follow up Red Velvet Delicacy?
well, no, that's the 10th one. You're skipping a course.
Oh,
The
it's all
title
the
of the
skirt.
9th one follows on exactly from the end of the 8th story haiku, which I just said if you were listening.
I was.
So it continues on with, you should have grabbed the souls of your friends. The 9th title of recipe is called The Souls of Your Friends.
Right.
Oh, that was the follow on for that haiku.
Yeah.
I didn't pick up on that.
Well, it's not written that way, but if you read it that way, there it is. And
Okay.
the recipe for that one is grab your friends, eat them. When finished, discard their bods. Then lick them with tongue.
See, I wasn't sure if tongue is one syllable or two.
Yeah, and also it's one, and also because nobody says tunga.
Tengu.
Also,
Tongway.
I was a little confused by that haiku because I didn't know how to follow the rules exactly because it told me to discard the bodies.
No, I said discard
And-
the bods.
Doesn't,
Just the good-looking ones.
doesn't. But it told me to discard them, and then it told me to lick them. So at that point, I was just licking garbage.
So, unfortunately, I actually couldn't follow this one because I don't have any friends. So,
Nobody wants to be friends with you because you're you.
I know this. It's a fact I have to live with every day of my life.
No, he means because of your you, because of the sheep that you bring around with you all the time.
I have a very strong attachment to my you.
Well, then you're not
Well, you
going to
should
like
cut
chapter
the rope
13.
then.
I haven't got there yet.
That's probably for the best. I'm glad you brought her.
Oh no.
I am the book. Did that sheep just say it's the book?
What? No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Sheep
don't
can't
talk.
speak.
Ridiculous. What's wrong with you? I meant the sheep. Sheep's acting funny.
Okay. Steve, why don't you go ahead and give us number 10?
Number 10.
No,
this-
sorry. Caitlin, go ahead and you already gave us the title for
Yeah,
10. so
Red
you may
Velvet
as well.
Atrocity. It was interesting that the souls of your friends is sandwiched in between the two that seem like they follow one from the other. I thought that was interesting, but I couldn't figure out why.
It's like a sandwich cake, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the souls are the filling, the like tasty custard in the middle.
Right. So this one,
So I hear.
the recipe is get the red of blood and dye some chocolate that way, then put it in ears. So I thought that was a little weird.
Well, it was basically telling you to get corn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then inject it with blood
Yeah,
colored chocolate.
it's kind of like a
Caramel
it's
corn.
what we call a Bavarian cream-filled corn.
Very popular in Bavaria.
This is the only recipe I actually tried because it sounded really good.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually
not.
really gross.
It was not good at all.
Yeah, you'd think, oh, peaches and cream corn, but
Red Velvet Corn, not so much.
Yeah.
Which is why it's called Red Velvet Atrocity. So it should have paid attention to the title.
It also does not instruct you to cook the corn in any sense, so you're just kind
I
of...
cooked it 4 times. I had popcorn after the first one, but, just kind of kept cooking it.
Chocolate popcorn sounds really good, actually.
Yeah, bloody chocolate popcorn.
Bloody chocolate popcorn.
Yeah.
Which is the title of the 11th recipe, but we'll get there in a second, because first we have to do the story haiku.
Oh, right.
Right. So the story haiku then reads, "Okay, you listening? Here I am sentient. Don't look close at Silbs." The book, I think, at this point was having a lot of trouble staying within the haiku format.
Yeah.
But bless its heart, it was trying.
Yeah, throughout all the murderous evil intent, it was at least giving it the old college try, which is also the episode or the title of the 12th recipe. But yeah, we got to move along here. So the 11th, we're 25 cakes to go, or 25 cakes in total, or 25 recipes in total, and 25 recipes for 25 cakes, and we're on number 11 now, which, as I just mentioned,
Bloody chocolate popcorn.
Yeah, bloody chocolate popcorn.
So this one actually had a bit of a British tinge to it, and it was more just people complaining. Well, not people, the cake complaining about their last recipe thing. Bloody chocolate popcorn. So the recipe was as follows, though.
Very British.
Take your popcorn and throw it right outside, if you would be so kind.
Please.
Bitch.
Oh. Mine says please.
No, it says please, bitch. It's one word. It's hyphenated, and they forgot the syllables again.
Oh.
It's pronounced please, bitch.
It's not 5 words, though.
That's still 2
syllables. But that's okay. We've established that this book doesn't understand syllables. And we are also all currently still under its powers, so.
Yeah, that's true.
So episode 12, or sorry,
than your normal
recipe
laugh.
12. I don't know why I keep calling them episodes. This is episode 13, but recipe 12.
The old college try.
The old college try.
Yeah.
Except we haven't done the story from 11
Oh,
yet.
yeah.
Bloody chocolate
Bloody
popcorn.
That is
Popcorn.
true.
Yeah.
So the bloody popcorn, bloody chocolate popcorn story.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Wait. I might have read the story part of that instead of the recipe. I think I did.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Here, let's see. Okay, here we go. Is there a sheep there? There better be by now. Please. Grab some scissors. Please. Yeah, that was weird, but
I'm pretty sure that was the story part.
maybe it was. I don't know.
At this
Damn
point
sure.
by the book, it gets really interchangeable.
I know.
It doesn't. It's very confusing.
the quantities of all the recipe stuff just right out the window.
So recipe 12, the old college try. The recipe is grab 6 eggs, beat them, beat them, beat them, beat them, please. They are now beat in.
That was
Did you hear that?
That was there. There may not be an episode 14.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Stay tuned.
The story haiku then goes, Caitlin, I can't read it because I'm afraid.
The story haiku. Excuse me, I'm getting real worked up.
You're getting real possessed.
Listen close, my pawn, as I tell you a tale. Ha. Ha 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 ha.
I was just reading it in there.
That's exactly how it went. Okay, I'm getting really scared. I don't know about you guys, but I'm starting to realize that there may be some evil afoot here.
Starting to realize.
Yeah, I mean, I hadn't really realized it until we started the review of this book that we'd already read, but I don't know how long it's been since we read it or what's actually happened. Things are out of order, and I feel like I'm not where I should be, and I hope that we all survive this. But for you listeners out there, I think what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to continue this in the next episode if it ever comes. I don't know about you guys, but I feel I need a break.
I haven't seen Recipe 13 yet. What is it?
Well, we'll get to that. When we continue. We're gonna make this a two-parter.
Okay.
The first two-parter because I am the book.
Sorry, something just came out of me.
Oh God, what is it?
David,
Sneeze.
bless you.
Thank you all for listening to I Am the Book, our weekly review podcast in association with I Am the Book. Everyone here is also a member. You can check us out at www.voicesofanarchy.com or on Twitter at I Am the Book Anarchy. You can find us and the podcast on podcast services around the book. I Am the Book. Support the podcast on patreon.com/tubcpodcast. That's TUBC podcast. On Twitter, and I am. Thank you once again, panel, this week, and don't forget to subscribe and give us a 5-star rating. It really helps us out. Make sure that we keep alive. And you can follow each of us on our personal Twitters at
caitlionroar.
H&F official.
And I Am the Book. I'll see you next week.